Hi guys, Office Bloke Dave here. I hope you're doing great out there today. I'm up bright and early, doing a bit of recording before work, and then Office Bloke stuff, and then come home and record with Ash. Going on holiday tomorrow night or 3 o'clock in the morning after, and I've just making sure I've got enough content. So early starts, late ones. But yeah, I think 5 reactions this morning before I go to my normal job. Then there'll be like 7 reactions with the Office Blokes, and then I'll come home and do like 5 or 6 with Ash. So it is a day of reactions today. It's a proper busy one. But I'm here for it. I want to make sure I can get 2 videos a day, every day out. That seems to be the magic number. That's what I'm trying to achieve anyway. But yeah, I've mooted for a while that I'm going to do some non-music sort of reactions. And me and Ash did Mr. Beast the other day, his new video, and it went down pretty well, actually. I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm going to start throwing in some other non-music stuff that I actually watch. So Sonny V2 I've followed for quite a long time, and I actually genuinely keep my eye out for his new videos, and as soon as the video comes out, pretty much I watch it. Same with Atozy. I don't watch all of them, but I watch quite a few. Moist Critical, I watch quite a lot of his videos. A lot of it's just having an earphone in when I'm doing other stuff and listening to what they're talking about. But I might as well combine it with what I'm doing here. So I'm going to react to Sonny V2 when he releases new videos. If that's your sort of thing, if you're here for that, just let me know. Make sure you subscribe or like, all that good stuff. You know how it goes. But yeah, how X Factor destroyed a contestant's entire life. X Factor was always on in my house when I was a kid. My bro and my mum used to absolutely love it. And when you watch enough of it vicariously, like when it's just on, you do get caught up in the story and the narratives and all that sort of stuff. But I've always thought it's dog shit, if I'm being honest. That they showed the hand years ago when they tuned people's vocals on what was supposed to be a live show. And people got it, even people with a non-music background. Like, I studied sound engineering, so it was so blatantly obvious to me. But even people who didn't listen to it and said, that's not right. You tuned some people's vocals, but not other people's vocals. If that didn't prove that the whole show is a fix, I don't know what does. But yeah, let's check this out. How X Factor destroyed a contestant's life. Let's do it.
When Zoe Alexander received 4 no's from the...
Literally watched that episode as well. She was the Pink impersonator, and she lost it on stage, didn't she?
X Factor judges, her entire life fell apart over a 10-year period, and the whole thing was documented on camera from 100 different angles. It all began with this email right here, in which Zoe first reached out to the X Factor requesting to appear on the show, explaining that she was a 22-year-old Pink impersonator but wanted to audition as herself. After being accepted as a contestant, Zoe was asked to send through 5 songs she wanted to sing, yet the X Factor then specifically demanded that Zoe audition as Pink.
They wanted me to sing a Pink song. He basically said that if I didn't, I wouldn't be going on the show. So I agreed.
After agreeing to do so, Zoe was invited in for an interview where they continued to ask her about Pink.
All he wanted to talk about was Pink. Have you seen Pink live? Do you know Pink's real name? Do you think you're like Pink in real life?
With Zoe adding that they had no interest in her personally, showing that the X Factor had an ulterior motive to create a story out of her being Pink. Before heading out on stage, one of the X Factor producers then encouraged Zoe to give an overly emotional performance.
And he said, make sure you use all of the stage. If the judges say no, beg them, cry, get down on your knees and beg.
So when she'd appear in front of the judges just a few...
I know she's kind of been coerced into this because, you know, you're not going to get on the show if you don't pretend to be Pink, essentially. But you've got to stick by your convictions. If you want to go out and just do a performance and you're confident in yourself, then that's one thing. But if they're telling you to beg and to cry and all this other sort of stuff, even if you say to the producer, yeah, I'll do whatever it takes, but then you go out there and just be yourself, I think that translates better. I think we're in a day and age of being yourself, and authenticity is so much more important than being fake, you know, and putting on a character.
Few minutes later, this is what went down.
I'm going to sing So What by Pink.
Pink, okay.
Off you go.
After stating that she was gonna sing So What by Pink, Zoe gave a boisterous emotional performance using the whole stage with excessive facial expressions. However, the focus on her physical delivery and a few other things which we'll talk about later meant the singing was fairly average, leading the judges to stop her mid-song before stating this:
I honestly think that you need to go away and take the time to find yourself as an artist.
Despite this, the judges were kind enough to give her a second chance.
Should we get a second song?
Yeah.
I want to give you a chance.
Yet she was then stopped midway through her second song before the judges once again implied that they didn't think she was good enough.
Because at the moment it just sounds like every other average sort of singing voice.
But as the judges explained that she wouldn't be going to the next round, Zoe turned the criticism back onto them.
You told me to sing a Pink song. I didn't want to sing a Pink song. You guys told me to sing a Pink song.
sing a Pink song.
Zoe then proceeded to lose her temper before bringing her dad onto the stage, swearing at the judges and throwing the microphone toward them. After some more chaos then went down backstage, Zoe lashed out at the cameraman ending the segment. However, in terms of negative feedback, this was really only the start. The family was so distraught from the event that they drove home in silence, yet Zoe seemed convinced that they wouldn't include her performance in the final cut of the show.
I still didn't believe that they would show my audition on TV. I mean, how could they show the systematic bullying leading to a breakdown of a woman? It would be too upsetting.
Until about an hour after.
Of course they're going to show it. They absolutely orchestrate things like that, and it's gold for them. That's what they want. In fact, if you want to get on TV and you go on X Factor, lose your shit like that and you'll guaranteed make it.
After arriving home, when a Daily Mail reporter who was at the audition called the family to get a statement for an article and to tell Zoe that she was definitely going to appear on television.
They will edit it in any way they can to show it on TV because it is TV gold.
With this information, Zoe's mental health began to decline rapidly.
I couldn't sleep. I just stayed up every night. I can't stress to you enough what an emotional wreck I was. I didn't trust anyone and I just kept breaking down, crying.
Made even worse by the countless articles talking about the situation before the episode had even gone live. Then, after 6 weeks of fear, Zoe's phone began to ring.
I got a phone call from the X Factor informing me that they were going to air my audition. I was honestly so terrified. I just said no and put the phone down.
Within hours of the episode going live, the performance was being called the most shocking audition ever, while other publications such as The Mirror called her X Factor's most shocking contestant ever. As a result of this, Zoe stated, "I was recognized everywhere I went, laughed at, pointed at, threatened. Both myself and my dad have been threatened with violence to the point that my dad had to physically defend us."
I'd go to the gym and people would watch the video on their phones in front of me and then
They've been threatened with violence to the point where her dad had to physically defend him. As a dad, if people are like bullying your daughter or your son or whatever, and you physically defend him, I'm thinking like, yeah, good man. Yeah, he's literally, someone's come over and been aggressive and he's chinned him. That's how I perceive that, and good on him if he did.
and whisper and laugh.
Despite this, Judge Tulsi Konstastavlos refused to change her attitude on the situation, stating there is always going to be the odd person who throws a massive hissy fit. Thousands of people over the years have auditioned, and this one person couldn't control their temper and threw a fit. But I don't think that's a reason for everyone to go, you've got to think about their emotions. That was one person. Those are her issues, and she chose to bring those issues to the stage. Given she now had no other option, Zoe began to defend herself by stating that the show deliberately tried to make me out to be this girl with a bad attitude, before she theorized that the X Factor deliberately encouraging her to sing a Pink song was part of a plan to increase ratings through televising a poor performance, which would explain why the producers encouraged her to be emotional in the minutes before the audition. Zoe Alexander was set up for a fall, and yes, she couldn't sing, but that isn't the issue under discussion. Setting people up to mockery by deliberately enhancing their self-image beyond their talents is cruelty bordering on human rights infringement. Zoe's volatile nature would have been spotted in one of the earlier auditions, and then stoked up so she would outburst on TV, and thereby encourage a flagging audience to tune in with the expectation of future Jerry Springer moments. Shameful, just shameful, yet others were a little less compassionate. Look, she may have been set up by producers, which isn't fair, but at the end of the day, she can't sing. The judges were just being polite by using the identity thing as an excuse because she did get to sing a second song, which she was also rubbish at. Her violent/physical outburst was wrong, full stop. Yes, it's unfair for producers to mislead lead her, but her reaction was atrocious and very bratty. Also, her dad shouldn't have brought her back onto the stage either, as this escalated the whole situation. She got to sing 2 songs, whereas most people get to sing 1, and she wasn't good enough, end of.
You have got to keep your emotions in check though. Even if you've been screwed by the producers, which, like, I'm sure the producers have screwed so many people. I actually know someone years ago that went on X Factor, and you go through so many preliminary, what do you call it? Preliminary auditions before you even get in front of the judges, that you go down to like a stadium where there'll be tens of thousands of people all auditioning in front of producers, and then the producers shortlist people, and then it happens again and again, and then finally you get in front of the judges. So the producers they've known who she is from the start. They've gone, she looks like she's gonna kick off, and if we lean into the pink thing, they've done it. It's orchestrated. All these shows, anyone out there who doesn't think all these shows are orchestrated and the producers are in people's ear, encouraging them like the little devil on the shoulder, encouraging them to do things that are going to make them look a certain way on TV. If you don't think that, you're naive, because they all do it. I know people that have been on other shows and it's bad. So some of the stuff the producers encourage is bad.
Yet Zoe didn't stop pushing back against what had happened. Approximately 7 months after the audition went live, an article was published by BBC News titled "X Factor Cleared Over Pink Tribute Act Complaints," in which it was explained that Zoe had gone to the government broadcasting agency Ofcom, claiming that the X Factor had ignored her track choices, changed her song list, and dictated her outfit and hairstyle, insisting on her appearing in her pink persona. Yet the agency found that the judges' comments were balanced, and her violent reaction after the audition was unacceptable by any standards, whatever her perceived grievance. Accordingly, Ofcom has not upheld Miss Alexander's complaint, with articles such as this one perpetuating Zoe's nightmare.
People said to me, oh, don't worry, it'll blow over, it won't last forever. And it lasted for years and years and years.
Things became even worse when Zoe's performance racked up almost 100 million views in compilations such as these two. However, with comments such as "I don't trust any of these" after hearing Zoe Alexander's story, it seemed there was more that was yet to be discussed. On the 20th of July 2020,
At the end of the day, like, anyone who's watched X Factor back in the day would know that they had like I think he was a chicken farmer on there who potentially was a bit mentally handicapped and couldn't sing for shit, like could not sing whatsoever, and he was in front of the judges singing to him. And there's been quite a few over the years who cannot sing whatsoever in front of the judges, and it's made out to be this person's just showed up with a dream. No, they've been in front of producer after producer after producer to get to that point. So they've been throwing people under the bus since the start. If it's a singing competition, you'd only have good singers in front of the judges. If it's an entertainment show, which it is, then you put through people that are terrible, and the terrible people make for good content. But just hold your hands up and say that. That's what it is. It's not a serious singing show. Some people will have a good career off the back of it. Some people are just going to be made to look like idiots for the rest of their lives, which some people on there have.
2020, Zoe uploaded her own video titled Zoe Alexander X Factor The Truth, in which she now revealed that the performance itself had been edited and even CGI'd to make the X Factor look good and Zoe look bad. She stated the judges actually began the audition by essentially insulting her.
And he moved on to tell me that I was very overconfident, which wasn't shown on TV.
And after she started singing, the audience went crazy by cheering. However, in the final cut of the show, this had been reversed, so the audience was instead cheering while the judges gave their opinions.
I gotta say, like, having watched quite a bit of it, every time when someone does something and it goes to the crowd and the crowd stand up and start clapping and people are cheering and stuff like that, I felt like that doesn't match for a long time. And essentially they've just got the camera, they've got the crowd mic'd up and, you know, on camera, and they just film that, and then the editors are going to be going, the producers will say to the editors, right, we want this person to go through, so you need to make them seem like they got a good response. Go to that shot of the crowd where they all stand up and go crazy. They're just mismatching anything to fit the narrative. I felt like that since, like, when I was watching it, God knows how long ago, with my bro and my mum. I think I used to sit and say all that sort of stuff when I was a teenager, just like, no, not having it. That's not a standing ovation for that person. They're not booing that person. It's all just chopped and changed to meet their narrative.
In the broadcast footage, the audience reaction has been completely changed. The audience could be heard clapping and cheering her words, as if she was voicing the opinion of the entire audience. In fact, the audience at that moment sat in silence.
As a person who was in the audience, we were told to keep quiet when the judges say anything, so yeah, you're definitely telling the truth. Zoe went on to explain that the music they played was also different to what she'd sent through.
The track that they played was not the track that I had sent them. It was in a different key and it was a different track.
And when she'd thrown the microphone, she'd done so because they'd turned it off while she was explaining what had happened.
Then I realised that they'd turned the microphone off, and that was when I threw it to the floor. But somehow in the video I threw it like that. I didn't. I threw it to the floor.
Zoe then debunked the segment where she'd seemingly walked off and come back with her dad.
I categorically did not leave the stage and subsequently return hand in hand with my father. Once again, the footage has been completely fabricated. Another example of the X Factor's over-imaginative editing.
Before she added that even the judges' comments had been inserted at a later date.
Also, Nicole did not stand up and say, "No, baby, no." That did not happen. So they were cut in afterwards to produce the footage in their fictitious storyline.
After heading backstage, another scene was filmed in which Zoe begged the cameraman to stop filming. However, this also didn't make the cut.
I was saying, please stop filming me, please stop filming me.
This scene was cut from the broadcast footage and replaced with even more fabricated footage, which better suited their storyline, as it didn't portray me as aggressive. The real footage would have clearly demonstrated the broken and emotional state into which I had been bullied.
And with this information, everybody began to stand up for her. I admit I was one of the many who laughed and thought you were this crazy lady who was just mad that you lost the audition. I'm so sorry, they're so horrible for doing you like this, with others informing Zoe that her video had blown up outside of YouTube. Over on TikTok, a relatively small account made a 15 million view video talking about what had happened, which when duetted by Zoe, gained a further 27 million views, with almost everybody sticking up for Zoe. As a result, Nicole Scherzinger's comment section began to fill with comments regarding Zoe's treatment, and therefore the judge did this.
Can we just talk about the fact that Nicole Scherzinger has blocked me on TikTok?
Despite this, the mainstream media ran with the story, causing the X Factor to backpedal rapidly.
You have made the X Factor turn off their Instagram comments. You have made the X Factor turn off their YouTube comments. And you have made the X Factor change the title and description of my X Factor audition video.
With the 19 million view audition video having since been removed altogether. On top of this, Zoe's appearance has also been taken out of the mega viral Top 5 Angriest Contestants video, which when considering Zoe's poor attitude and the show's sketchy editing, feels like a reasonable middle ground between the two parties.
I think there's a lot of naive people out there who think that X Factor's real and American Idol's real and all these sort of reality TV contestant shows are real. I feel bad for her. I feel bad for what happened to her. I think she went into it a bit naive. But if you don't keep your behaviour under control, it's going to be exploited to justify whatever people want to say. So if people want to say that you're aggressive and you're wild and you're over the top and you behave that way, you're just backing up what they say. Which she did. She needed to stay calm and just be like, listen, you've screwed me over here, but whatever, I'll do something else. But I suppose people who want to be a professional singer, they maybe see X Factor as their one shot to do something, so maybe it means a lot more to them than it would for me, for example. I can just sit here not wanting to be a professional singer, just walk away. Yeah, interesting one that. I do think they've been doing this since day one though. I think all these shows do it. I didn't realise a lot of people didn't get that. You know, you think it's a legitimate thing where the editing is true and it shows real crowd responses to your performance, and it's not. It's entertainment. It's like saying Top Gear's a car show. It's not. It's an entertainment show that revolves around cars. I see X Factor as an entertainment show that revolves around singing and a bit of drama, which sells. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you thought of that, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. And if you want to see a bit more non-music content, I think I'm going to stick with the Stoney V2 route because I do enjoy his videos anyway. Yeah, just let me know in the comment section if you want to see more of it. Right, see you soon, guys. Cheers.